Good morning, everyone. Um,
So, as always, take what resonates, softly release the rest, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you can stay connected with future messages. uh, so, there's a specific quality to certain connections that feels different from everything that came before. And you're either in one of those connections now or approaching one, the kind where something in you just knows this isn't like the others, not because it's perfect, but because it's right, in a way that doesn't require convincing yourself, in a way that doesn't need constant reassurance, in a way that just feels like arriving after a long journey of searching. Let me describe what this looks like. You may have been through relationships that taught you what you don't want, that showed you red flags, that clarified your non negotiables, that refined your understanding of what actually matters. Some people experience this process as exhausting, all the trying and failing, all the hoping and being disappointed, all the investing in people who couldn't meet them where they needed to be met. It might feel like you've been collecting lessons instead of building love, like every relationship was just preparation for something you're still waiting for. But here's what all that preparation created: the capacity to recognize when you finally found it, the wisdom to not sabotage it, the clarity to choose it even when it's different than what you imagined. Let's pause here. This reflection invites you to consider: is less than hash zero. 5 hash is greater than how have past relationships prepared you to recognize what's actually right. Maybe you're with someone now who feels different, where the patterns that plagued you before aren't showing up, where communication flows instead of feeling like work, where you're valued instead of just tolerated. You may be waiting for the other shoe to drop, for the problems to emerge, for this person to reveal they're just like the others, because good feels suspicious when you're used to struggling. It's possible the suspicion is just unfamiliarity, that you're so conditioned to difficulty that ease feels wrong, that you're mistaking peace for boredom because you're used to chaos feeling like passion. Some people can't recognize healthy love when they're in it. They keep waiting for drama, for intensity, for the roller coaster they're familiar with. You may need to recalibrate your nervous system to let healthy feel normal, to accept that love doesn't have to hurt to be real. It can feel vulnerable to relax into something good. Like relaxing means you're not protecting yourself. Like letting your guard down invites betrayal. But you can't receive love while wearing armor. You can't let someone in while keeping them at arm's length. At some point, if this is actually right, you have to risk trusting it. This reflection invites you to consider: are you waiting for problems that might not come? There's something specific about what your best means. It's possible this person brings out parts of you that others didn't access, not because they're trying to change you, but because they create space for your full self to exist. You may notice you're more yourself around them, less filtered, less performed, less worried about being too much or not enough. Some people make you shrink, make you edit, make you carefully manage what you show, not maliciously, just because the fit isn't right, because there's not room for all of you in the dynamic. You may have been doing that for so long you forgot what it feels like to just exist without self monitoring, to speak without calculating, to be without curating. And with this person, you're remembering, you're expanding back into your full size, you're becoming more yourself instead of a managed version. It can feel uncomfortable at first, like you're being too much, like you should rein yourself in, like full expression is dangerous. But this person isn't asking you to be smaller. They're appreciating your fullness, and that appreciation gives you permission to stop shrinking. This reflection invites you to consider who makes you feel like you can be fully yourself. Let me talk about what last love actually means. It's possible last doesn't mean you can see the future. It means this is the relationship where you stop searching, stop wondering if there's something better, stop keeping one foot out the door just in case. You may have been in relationships where you were already looking for the exit, where you were committed but not fully, where part of you was always scanning for problems or alternatives. Some people never fully arrive in their relationships. They're physically present but emotionally hedging, always leaving themselves an out. You may have been one of those people. And this connection is teaching you what it feels like to be all in, to not have a backup plan, to choose someone and keep choosing them without reservation. It can feel scary to be fully invested, like you're giving someone too much power, like you're setting yourself up for devastation if it doesn't work. But half commitment doesn't protect you. It just guarantees you never experience the depth that only comes from full presence. What last might mean is that you finally learned what you need, what you can tolerate, and what you can't, what matters and what doesn't. And this person meets those refined criteria in ways others didn't. Some people keep dating the same person in different bodies. They haven't learned the lesson, so they keep repeating the class. You may have broken that cycle, learned what you needed to learn, grown into someone who can attract and maintain something different. It can feel anticlimactic when you finally get what you've been working toward. Like it should feel more dramatic, more obviously different. But the best relationships often feel easy, like coming home, like finally being able to exhale, not because there's no effort, but because the effort feels natural instead of forced. This reflection invites you to consider, does this relationship feel like work or like home? There's something about what you need to do to sustain this. It's possible the biggest threat to this relationship is you, your patterns, your fears, your tendency to sabotage when things get good because good feels unfamiliar and unfamiliar feels unsafe. You may need to actively resist self sabotage, to not create problems where none exist, to not push away when you're scared of being too happy. Some people are addicted to struggle. When things are peaceful, they create chaos because chaos is what they know. They're more comfortable in dysfunction than in health. You may need to watch for that tendency in yourself, for the urge to test this person, to pick fights, to find flaws, to create distance when intimacy deepens. It can feel like testing is protecting yourself, like you need to know they'll stay even when you're difficult, like proving they won't leave means making them want to. But testing damages connection, creates unnecessary wounds, turns love into a game nobody wins. What you might need instead is to communicate fears directly. I'm scared because this is good and I'm not used to good is vulnerable, but it's honest. And honesty builds intimacy that games destroy. Some people think vulnerability is weakness, that admitting fear gives others power to hurt them. But vulnerability with the right person is actually what creates safety. You may need to learn the difference between being vulnerable with everyone and being vulnerable with someone who's earned it. This person might have earned it. It can feel risky to show your fears, like they'll see you as damaged or broken or too much work. But the right person doesn't see wounds as flaws. They see them as evidence of survival, as part of your story, as what made you who you are. You remain in complete control of what you do with this connection. You can nurture it or neglect it, protect it or sabotage it, show up fully or hold back. The power is yours. It always has been. You may notice reading this has brought up a specific person, maybe hope that this is about them, maybe fear of jinxing it by believing it, maybe resistance to the idea of last because you've been hurt before. Whatever it is, honor it. Take what resonates. Softly release the rest. Trust yourself. Before we close, I want to ask you something. If you knew someone was your last love, would that make you more committed or more terrified? Drop it in the comments. And this, what would you need to release to fully show up in a relationship that's actually right? They'll be your best, and you'll be in a relationship with this person as your last love. Not because fate decided it, but because you've both done enough work to be ready for something that lasts, because you've learned enough to recognize it, because you're finally choosing from wisdom instead of wounding. Last isn't about guarantees, it's about readiness, about finally being prepared to build something sustainable instead of just surviving something intense. Not eventually, it's present or approaching. Trust yourself with this. Trust that you're ready for real love, even if real love looks different than what you imagined. Trust that you can handle healthy, even though you're used to hard. Trust that this is what you've been preparing for. I'll see you in the next one. And listen, your last love isn't your hardest love, it's your easiest because you finally know what you're doing. Stay open, stay present, stay willing. You've earned this.